We are back. This is Metallicus Live. I am Eric Lyons, where we have all these exciting conversations with every amazing intellectual and brilliant minds within the Web3 industry. And today, it's International Women's Day. And what better way to celebrate International Women's Day than to celebrate with some of the most fantastic women in the Web3 crypto industry space? I have the absolute pleasure to Actually, I can't even introduce y'all. Y'all have met her before. You met CFO, Chief Financial Officer Irina. You've also met the VP of Product, Karen McHenry, and you have also met the VP of Engineering, Maura Wilder. Maura, Irina, Karen, thank you all so much for coming back onto Metallica's Live. How are you all doing today?
Amazing. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
Great. Hey, Eric.
Hey, Karen.
Doing pretty well. Hi, Eric. Thanks for the welcome.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to have you all on. Now, everybody that's listening in, we have had Irina and Karen and Maura all on Metallica's Live within our past several episodes, so feel free to check those out on our podcasting platforms where we host Metallica's Live, including Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio. You name it, we're there. Now, let's get this started off. As I mentioned, this is International Women's Day, and it's Women's History Month for starters. And I would just love to go down the line, and we can start with Irina, then Maura, then Karen, if that's cool with you all. I would just like to take a moment to reflect on that the first time y'all came into the fintech space. Was there a lot of things to overcome in order to succeed in your careers?
Well, I don't know if it's really a woman thing related, but in general, I'd say that any new industry you come into, you have to really learn a lot of things. So when I came into, the fintech and blockchain space, it was just a whole new learning curve for me. So kind of understanding the technology, understanding the regulatory landscape, understanding the use cases. That was kind of what shocked me a lot, because I came from a little bit of a different space before when I was an auditor, and a lot of my clients when I was an auditor were consumer industrial products. And then after that, it was just like software and technology. So in financial services and fintechs, there is a lot to learn. And in fact, I was talking to Don this morning, and I learned something new about how certain things operate at a bank. So there's a lot of nuances and new information, no matter where you come from, that you have to absorb.
I guess it's my turn. Unlike Irina and Karen, I have not been in fintech that long, just about 5 years, but I've been in software for, 30 years. And that industry, unfortunately is not diverse enough. There are not enough women in it. So there have been struggles coming up through that industry. Though fintech itself, I will say, has been great. There's still a lot to learn, but I've felt welcome at every company that I've been at in the industry, and and we're moving ahead. It's a good place to be.
Yeah, I would actually echo what Maura says. Prior to being in fintech, I wasn't a developer, but I was a product manager. So being the primary liaison with developers, there were plenty of times when I was the only woman in the room, me versus 10 men. And it definitely takes some getting used to, and wasn't always comfortable, but, you just have to stand your ground and feel confident. But I would echo that coming into the crypto space in particular has felt very welcoming to me as a woman. I feel like people in this space are very open and generous with thoughts and open-minded. I think we're seeing more and more women come into this space, but I can't wait to the day when it's, more 50-50. It would be great.
So, when Karen, when you said that it was a lot more welcoming and inviting when you came into this space, who are these people that you are mentioning? Was it folks within the community? Was it folks within Metallicus or people at conferences? Anything of that nature?
Yeah, I would say the space in general, but certainly, Metallicus is very open and welcoming to all, and we are quite diverse across gender and race and geography. But I have found that the crypto space in general is an open and welcoming space for women, mostly.
Yeah, maybe I can add something about Metallicus too, and we also have a very large age diversity here, which is unusual sometimes for crypto companies.
Easy.
Yeah, it's not talking about us. um, and we are not the only women, the three of us here. Just so you all know, there are other women in different functions within our company in different roles, um, and that's been a big deal because it's not just people don't come in here and say I want to be in the crypto company. They come in here into Metallicus and say I want to be, in accounting or in customer support or in compliance, and there's diversity across the board at our company.
Well, that's great because I was reading this article that came out in January of this year, and it was outlined by Forbes, where they outlined that the crypto industry is male dominated and that there is a massive need for women in crypto, which I don't disagree with. And it sounds like a breath of fresh air knowing that there are certain companies within the industry that are trying to break that mold and trying to have more diversity all across the playing field, not just with race and age, but also with gender. And I think that's where Metallicus stands apart and just bringing out the best in everyone, whoever they may be. But it's been a work in progress, and I'm sure Irina, you've definitely seen it's you've seen this company grow for what was it, about 3 years, just the same as me,
Yeah,
right?
about 3 years ago, I started a little over 3 years. I mean, I like to say that diversity is, can be defined very many different ways, and I think it's very important that you have different people who come from different points of view and backgrounds and experiences, and that makes, I think, our company strong, or any company will be strong. Because if everybody is exactly the same, then you really don't have a new view that can push you forward. Sometimes it's the most unlikely people you think that would give the best contribution. Because sometimes you generalize of what that could be.
Absolutely. Were there any mentors in your lives? And I'm not talking just in crypto and Web3, but as you all started your career. We can start with Karen, then Maura, and then Irina.
Um, so I wouldn't say, to be honest, I wouldn't say that I had specific mentors in my career. But thinking about this question, I had three aunts who, when I was growing up, I didn't think too much about it, but in retrospect, it's pretty amazing because, they all three went away to a 4-year school and got college degrees, and this would have been in like the 50s. So it was just kind of a normal part of my upbringing. And in retrospect, I think they must have been pretty brave to do that at that time. So wouldn't have been very many other women doing it. And also, I had three sisters, but my parents did buy me Legos and race cars and quote unquote boys' toys. One of Legos was one of my favorite toys growing up, and my parents were very happy to buy that, not just Barbie dolls and dolls. So again, I didn't think too much of it at the time, but now in retrospect, I'm very grateful for that influence in my life.
I guess it's my turn. Similarly, didn't really have a mentor that I could point to, Eric. I I've always since a child I've always been in a male dominated world. I've got 7 brothers. I've got sons and no daughters. I've been in software. I've been in sports companies. It's just kind of the way it's been. So I've just kind of got used to it. However, like Karen, there have been some experiences I've had seeing women who really excelled. And one of them was early in my sports career. Some of my teammates when I was in college, they were so good, but there were no professional leagues at the time. And they went on and they played in Europe professionally. So this was a scary thing for me, that you would, leave your home, leave your family, go to someplace like Italy for a job playing professional sports. So, I looked up to them, and that was great to see. And then in my first software company, this may be surprising to hear, but there used to be more women in software than there are now when I was first coming out. And a lot of people are surprised to hear that. It's actually gotten worse over the years. And so my first job was around 50-50 men and women. And that was enough to keep me going in the career.
I wonder why that is. Is it just because the
yeah,
totals
there's some studies
changed?
on that.
Yeah.
There are some studies that the environment has not been friendly to women, both in college and then in the career. Like for women who leave to raise a family, it's a lot harder to get back in. So
I wonder if that's like that in the US or if across the world that changed, but that'd be interesting.
yeah, I wouldn't. So don't get me wrong. It wasn't 50-50 in the industry. My company was 50-50.
Okay.
But the percentages were definitely still higher than they are now in the whole industry. I have my brother-in-law is a professor, and so he saw a lot of women come through his program. And he did say during the dot-com boom, which was, late 90s, early 2000s, there were a lot of women coming through the program. And when the dot-com bust happened, basically it went down to almost no women, and we never really recovered.
That's interesting.
I've never heard that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's going back up, or is it still a lot of work to be done?
Well, there's plenty more work to be done, and I don't know if it's going back up. I haven't really paid as close attention, Eric.
I want to look up that statistic. What kind of program was your brother doing?
No, it's my brother-in-law. He's a professor of math and computer science.
Got it. Brother-in-law, my apologies.
Not a problem.
Yeah. And what about you, Irina?
Well, I started my career in San Francisco at Grant Thornton, where, I didn't really know there was a problem, for women or, to be promoted, because there was very much not so at GT, both in San Francisco and across the country. So I was kind of lucky enough to be thrown into a position that didn't have, any, real or perceived barriers. We had a lot of women leaders. We had a lot of other diverse leaders at Grant Thornton. So I have some very, I would say, successful women partners of Grant Thornton and other public accounting firms that I still rely on, who were my mentors. They were mostly my mentors about other things than gender promotion or gender diversity. They were my mentors in in technical skills and in management skills and other things that kind of get you through your career. But what I kind of like to say, and maybe if anyone cares for some advice, is you don't have to look for mentors to be women. You can look for mentors to be somebody who has the skills that you want to possess. And, they could be leadership skills, management skills, or technical skills. So I've been lucky enough to have some very good men who were my mentors at my company that we did an IPO. My boss, the VP of finance at that company, was a great mentor to me for everything, for a lot of the skills that I have now. So find the right ones for yourselves, I guess, at every stage.
And would it be good to have multiple? If in those scenarios, would it be good to have multiple mentors or different types?
I mean, I think so. I think different people can teach you or guide you into different directions and different things.
So let me ask you this, and I want to start with Irina. We have a lot of good answers, such as being just used to growing up in career backgrounds where it's more male dominated, some being more 50-50% with women leadership, and just being able to keep on pushing and keep on bringing out your best of your abilities. But what keeps you confident? Even just for your day-to-days today, what keeps you confident?
That's an interesting question.
I know.
I mean, I like to kind of, and I don't know if I always succeed at this, but I like to think before I speak, or I want to be like sure about what, I'm saying, or what the answer to a certain like problem is. And maybe that's a woman trait, maybe it's a personal trait, but I want to be kind of very prepared for what I'm doing. And if I'm not, then I'm less confident. But when I am, I'm more confident, I guess.
Thank you. Now, Karen or Maura, either one of you, what keeps you confident?
Can I just jump in, Eric?
Please.
So I want to tell you, I want to say that imposter syndrome is a real thing, right? And it affects women, but it also affects other people. Like it's not just a female thing, but I think it is pretty high in women because of the way some of us have grown up, culturally. And I think I suffered from this for a long time, but for me, it's experience that's make me more comfortable and more confident because after a while, you get to realize that you do know as much as the other folks out there that you're working with or that you're talking with, regardless if they're other women or men or what have you. And I think experience is a big part of that.
Right, because it'll just show that you know your stuff and you have the skills and the repertoire to back it up. Am I right about that, or?
Exactly. And sometimes I don't know, right? Sometimes I don't know. A lot of times I don't know. But I'm also not afraid to ask the right person or let somebody who does know, control the conversation or what have you.
I think it's important to be in an environment where you're not afraid to make mistakes or the wrong kind of statements. And I've been in environments where it was the opposite. And in public accounting, Grant Thornton, where I spent almost 10 years, you sometimes will get in trouble. It's not an environment where you can be wrong or can speak without being super, super prepared and 100% sure of what you're saying or delivering the kind of work. And I feel like at Metallicus, there is an aspect of that because we are regulated. So we have to be very sure about, the laws and rules and regulations we're following. But as a culture within the company, there's a lot of room for questions, and you don't have to always know the answer or be right. I don't know how you all feel about it. Who's here, but my boss, who's Marshall, treats me that way, and I think we have a relationship like that. So that helps with the confidence piece to me.
I really appreciate that. Now, Karen, what keeps you confident? Karen, I think your microphone's off.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I was just saying it's all a facade. I definitely don't always feel confident. But I think you have to kind of realize that everyone has their own foibles or, um, feelings of insecurity or whatever. And again, just the experience of having been in different situations, not even just the experience of actual technical knowledge, but the experience of just being in lots of different situations and things that have gone right and wrong, and being able to leverage that experience to ensure that things are moving forward in the right direction, because you've been there, you've done it, you've seen it happen. I think that's been very helpful.
I appreciate your inputs on this. Now, Irina already mentioned this slightly, but let's say there's more than likely going to be women listening that tune into our podcast, tune into the Twitter Spaces. Karen, Maura, and also Irina, if you have anything else to add into that, what advice would you have for them? Especially going into Web3, thinking that this is their interest and this is something that they would want to get started in and move forward with it.
I have one, Eric. I would say if you see a job out there that you want, but maybe you don't have all the qualifications that are listed, still apply, right? There's because we need so many different skill sets in our roles. Like if you don't have that perfect set of requirements that we've listed out, that doesn't mean you couldn't still be valuable in the role. And I've seen this at other companies. We won't rule you out because say you don't have like C++ or something, and we want that. Um, we want diverse people, you know. At least in my team, we do, and definitely feel comfortable about that. What's the worst that can happen? We could just ignore you or not, or not bring you in for an interview. But there's lots and lots of jobs out there, so apply.
You never know if you don't try, and your results just might amaze you. What about you, Karen?
Yeah, I some of the advice that I would give is, first of all, um, do feel confident. Even if you have to sort of fake it until you make it. If you're in a meeting, your voice or your thoughts are important. So, make sure you stand up and make sure your voice is heard because it is important. And secondly, sort of similar to what Maura said, but if you think you might be interested in a different role, let's say, for instance, you're in customer service and you think that maybe you want to be an engineer or maybe you want to be a product manager, just make friends with those people. If you're in the office, invite one of them to lunch. If you're not in the office, hold a meeting and um, sort of find your mentor. And that's how I think a lot of us got into different types of roles or different companies. So, don't be afraid to reach out, because other people are going to be happy to share their knowledge with you, and you may find, the perfect role for you.
I like to say, and I say this to my daughter a lot, is, before you ask, the answer is no. So definitely, ask or apply or try. And then when the other way is someone offers you something and you say no, then that ends there. But you could say yes and try. And, you should say yes to, all the experiences, that interest you, and maybe you're not even ready for them, but if it's being offered. I think there was kind of what Maura was saying, women sometimes, won't apply for a job if they don't have 100% of the requirements, but men will apply even if they only have 50. I don't know if that's true, but, something, to think about, would I apply for it? So definitely go for it. That's the answer. I think that's how a lot of the leaders where have gotten there.
Something that was really interesting that you just said, Irina, was before you ask, the answer is no. Can you build up on that?
I have to say this to myself all the time because it's very uncomfortable. Sometimes what you're asking for, what you have to do. So, promotions, right? Raises, things like that, or even interests, like what Karen was saying. If you're, in customer support, but you want to be a developer, or if you want to, be in compliance, unless you ask, the answer, you're not going to get that position. You're not going to get that answer. This doesn't obviously only go for women. we have this conversation a lot at Metallicus, about people, moving positions or, asking to do more things outside of their roles. I'm being a little bit maybe too specific about it, but I think that goes a lot with any experience.
I think so too. I just never heard that before, and I love it. It just really stood out to me. Now, I don't know what you would consider yourselves, but I would personally consider you, Irina, Karen, and Maura as leaders within the Web3 space. If you feel the same, I think that's fantastic, and I would soundly agree. But being women leaders in Web3, do you feel any pressure by that at all? And we can start with Karen, Irina, and Maura.
Um, no, to be honest, no. I find it actually kind of fun. I think, it still sort of surprises people to, probably the most frequent question I get asked is, why, why are you an older female in cryptocurrency? It's, people outside of the industry think I'm crazy or there's something wrong with me, but maybe that's the biggest pressure I feel is, still trying to explain to sort of friends and family why I'm in this space, especially after some recent events, and kind of evangelizing the cause. But no, within the space, I as I reiterated before, I really enjoy my time here. There's always something to learn. There's always something new going on.
Irina, do you feel pressure in being a leader, a woman leader in the Web3 space?
No, I think that, I'm doing what I'm doing. We talk about, whether we're doing a good job or a bad job. I have my kind of guide of what a good job and a bad job would be. So I I don't feel like, we're paving the way necessarily for women. Maybe we are, but I think maybe I'll say I am just doing the best that I can in my position and my role and my, I guess, Web3 world. And that should be enough. I think that the contribution.
Absolutely. Now, Maura, being a woman leader in the Web3 space, do you feel any pressure?
I also don't feel any pressure. In fact, I feel energized to be in this space, and I'll tell you why. I am a lifelong learner. I love to learn new things, and being in the crypto space, it's just an endless, you know, smorgasbord of new ideas, new technologies, and it's great. It's fun to learn from all the people I work with, young and old, and male and female. It's just a great industry to be in. So, no, I don't feel any pressure.
Well, y'all are hearing this right here live, and fortunately not in person, but on the Twitter spaces, that these fantastic women do not sweat the pressure. They keep it going one day at a time, and they're doing a damn good job at it. And I appreciate all three of you. That's why I said I look up to y'all as women leaders within the Web3 space. So if that for what that's worth, that's just my flowers that I want to give to y'all. Absolutely.
Thank you, Eric.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, being that these women leaders in Web3, they're also leaders within the Metallicus ecosystem. And now I got to ask some questions about that. And maybe Irina can answer, or maybe all of us can answer. Will Metallicus have any presence at upcoming events moving forward to 2023?
I prepared my answer because I knew you would ask. So we are planning on being at Money 2020 in Europe, and you may see some of us on stage there, and I'll leave it at that. It will be a surprise. We are planning on being at Consensus this year, some of us in certain capacities, and then probably at the Bitcoin Miami conference. Down the road, I think Money 2020 is always a really big, important event for us. So probably the Vegas Money 2020 will be another bigger one that all of us will attend. But we should be kind of on site and in person, including the three of us and some of the other management pretty soon. So if anyone wants to meet up at any of the three already mentioned, but some of them down the road as well.
And you said Money 2020, you said Consensus, and you also said Bitcoin?
Yeah, I think Bitcoin Miami.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah. And it may, we actually like to send not just the same people all the time. It's not, just, Marshall gets to go or doesn't get to go. Some of you might remember that last year at Consensus, we sent, our accounting person there, and we had our CS team there. I forget, like compliance sometimes goes to them. So it's not just the execs who go, for networking, but we also like to expose the rest of our team to events like that for their own benefits. So that's great. Eric's been to some of them, in certain capacities. So we see it as a learning opportunity, not just a way for us to get on stage and speak.
Absolutely. And a lot of the people that we meet, because I can attest, I've been to Bitcoin Miami and this past Money 2020, and the things that we're doing as a company, Metallicus, that is, it's been fantastic, and it's just been such an awesome experience to see how we grow out the brand, have people come meet with us in the booths or on the conference floor, and even outside the conferences. It's been fantastic, and I have the dates right here for the upcoming events. Bitcoin Miami being in the middle of May. Then we got Consensus. That's actually in the end of April. And then we also have Money 2020 in Europe being in June. So those next 3 months, you should be able to see us in any way, shape, or form capacity. Drop by, say what's up, and let's see what that holds for us.
I think also maybe Maura, you go to some local events, right?
Yep. I'm going to be speaking at a Women in Blockchain event in mid-April, and probably a couple of other events this year. In the next few months. Nothing's confirmed yet, so I don't want to say what I'm applying to.
Did you mention that there was, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll tweet about that when it gets closer.
I'm also speaking at a local event here in Boston, so I advise a group of young women in blockchain called WeBlock. So shout out to Allison Rue from Hedera HGraph. She's started a nonprofit organization for female college students in blockchain. It's just getting up and going, so I'm attending one of their events next week, but I will also tweet about that.
That's exciting. Is that your first time doing the event with Weeblock?
Yes. Yep.
Fantastic. Yeah, I started learning a lot more about Weblog within the past few weeks, and I remember we met Allison Liu at one of the past events, and she's just awesome.
Yeah, she's an awesome girl. Yep.
Yeah, we're trying our best to get her on Metallica's Live, so stay tuned for that, everybody. That's going to be a fun one as well. But wow, so it's only March, and this is so far announcements of our presence and the events that we're going to be. So only more to come from that. So please be on the lookout for us in your area, and we're all going to have so much fun together. Now, we talked about the presence at upcoming events. Now, within Metallicus, can you give us any insights into the next releases on MetalPay or Proton? The people want to know. The people are dying. They always tweet about it.
I know. On MetalPay, we have a lot to look forward to. We're transitioning to a new banking service provider that's going to provide noticeably more diverse and generally better banking services. The new release of MP3 is also going to allow us to develop new features faster. So once we get that out, that we have a full roadmap ahead of us. Also, right now we support debit card on-ramps, and we're just about to roll out credit card on-ramps. So keep an eye out for all of those coming very soon.
And can they get on the wait list for the credit cards?
Yes. The credit cards I was referring to is just the on-ramp. But yes, our actual Metallicus MetalPay credit cards, there is a wait list that you can join on metalpay.com website.
Oh, so customers will be able to plug in their credit card, their personal credit card, and transact on MetalPay. Was that what you were referring to?
Yes, correct.
Oh, that's going to be exciting. That's going to be so exciting. Yeah, you guys are going to have to stay tuned for that one because that's going to be a lot of fun. And personally, I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be all over my
state. Me too.
Yeah, the more fiat, our big kind of push with obviously, the bigger strategy for the company, and a lot of you have heard Marshall say that is, fiat on ramps, off ramps for crypto and blockchain products. So it is very, very hard to do that with partners and with banks and with regulators. So we have to take it very slow. But this is a step that we are ready to take with our partner. So new fiat on ramps, both in the US and in Europe, for our users of MetalPay, and also soon, maybe not as soon, but for users of Proton. So in the countries where MetalPay is not yet available, our next big push with the compliance team is to figure out when and where and in which order we can roll out both MetalPay, certain features of MetalPay outside of the US and Europe, what kind of licenses we need in different countries for different features, and also bringing more fiat on-ramps to the Proton products that we currently already have. The DEX being one of the bigger ones. So that, that would be a full experience for our users. The DEX is getting some new features in the next, very, very shortly, probably within a week. A couple of market makers are joining the DEX, providing liquidity and working on the different trading tools. And then we have a couple of coin listings that are about to be announced and launched on the DEX. And, there were a lot of guesses of what they are. I'm not going to be able to say what they are, which coins they are today, but they will be good ones, good teams and good projects.
Lots of things happening. Just lots of things happening on both products and platforms.
Yeah, Eric, not to be left in the dust, but Metal Blockchain, there's an incredible amount of development being done on Metal Blockchain. So I'm not going to speak about any particular things, but keep your eye out. We're building a lot of stuff on that. Announcements to come.
I love it. Yeah, we're looking forward to those Metal Blockchain announcements. We are, and the community's waiting patiently. I'm waiting patiently, and we know it's just going to be fantastic.
Well, there's also a lot of behind the scene work that's done. I know Maura's team is very diligent at that, of kind of upgrading and improving everything related to the performance of our products.
Yeah, absolutely. Security, speed, and internal tools so we can support people a lot better, right? So our client services teams can just do a great job for everybody.
Yeah, and in integrating different products, MetalPay and Proton blockchain, and eventually, Metal blockchain being, in the mix of how things work, under the pretty app, and under the hood. We're really upgrading a lot of that, Maura's team.
Now, I want to give a massive shout out to Maura's team, the engineering team, and also Karen's team, the product. It's just a lot of these features and a lot of these products and everything that they're capable of wouldn't be possible with these teams that I've just mentioned here. And a lot of things that have been coming to fruition this past year, even plus, has been the help of just how powerful and how tight these respective teams are. And so if I was wearing a hat, I would have tipped it already. Believe you me.
Thank you, Eric. Your team is also excellent.
Yep.
Just saying.
I appreciate that. Shout out to client services. But we're only as good as the team that works with us, and that being finance, that being product, that being engineering, and that being compliance, and everyone else. This company is just so tight, and we get it. We get the machines rolling so fast and so smoothly, and we just have a great team behind it, which involves 3 fantastic women leaders in Web3 blockchain. So, before we get out of here, is there any final thoughts that we have from Any one of y'all?
So I have another announcement that I said I was bringing a gift to this spaces. So with the help of our in-house artist Paul Gray, we're going to post a special International Women's Day NFT. And I would like to invite anyone here who wants to give a gift to a woman they know or they don't know, or just to any woman. They can tag them, and Paul will describe this in the tweet shortly after. They can tag them in the tweet, and then we can send them this NFT to their WebOff wallet. So don't forget to give the women in your lives flowers today, and they can be via an NFT.
Hey, that's so awesome. Yeah, you all heard that here, folks. And will that be on the Proton XPR Twitter?
Yes, probably whichever one Paul chooses to do it, but he'll probably let everybody know about this because it's a really cool NFT, and I think it's a really cool gift. Right nowadays you don't, back in the in-person days, we would probably do, live flowers for the women in the office, and maybe your significant others would give you those as well. Since we can't all be in person, let's do it via Web3.
I solemnly agree. And that's just a massive shout out to Paul Gray. An amazing craftsmanship, artistic just prowess. And he makes a lot of these NFTs happen for us. So celebrate with us. Celebrate with your significant other. Celebrate with your colleagues and your friends, everybody that you value, by staying tuned to our upcoming tweets on not only at We Are Metallicus, but also at Proton XPR and at Metal Pays Me for all of these new announcements. Not just the NFT, but most definitely the NFT, but also a lot of these new features and announcements that are just about to be rolled out that Karen, Irina, and Maura have mentioned. So please do that. Please stay tuned. Follow those directions in that Twitter, and you're going to get yourself and someone else the most prettiest NFT that you can get today. Where else can you get it? Nowhere. Only here. Any final thoughts, Karen, Maura, or Irina?
I don't think I can top that.
Ditto.
Yeah, thanks, Eric, and thanks everyone for coming, and let's keep it going.
Hey, well,
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. It's been such an absolute pleasure. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, that was our CFO, Irina Berkon. That was our VP of Product, Karen McHenry. And that was our VP of Engineering, Maura Wilder. This has been Metallicus Live. Once again, this was always hosted on the Twitter Spaces, live and uncut. You can follow this at We Are Metallicus for the next Twitter Spaces. And if you miss out on it, it's all good. You can listen to it on Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're there. And also YouTube. My name is Eric Lyons. It's been another pleasure to be your host today. And we will see yins later. And happy International Women's Day.
Thank you, Eric. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.